Members, this is the appointed time and we have a quorum. I call this meeting to order. Item 1 on the agenda, information paper issued since the last meeting. Would members please take note of the information paper issued since the last meeting of the 7th of July, and please refer to item 1 on the agenda. In relation to Deputy Chair's letter entitled Coping Measures of the Railway System During Extreme Weather Conditions. Members, do we agree to include this in our list of items for discussion? Mr. Zhang? Chairman, if I may, I'd like to elaborate on the background of this letter, be it the century rainfall, the black rainstorm, or other events. The railway system was disrupted. I think the public are concerned about not only the coping measures, but general maintenance of the system. Transport was a major issue that sparked the public's concern and discussion. So I'd like to talk about the coping measures of the railway system against extreme weather events. Thank you. Members agree? Would the Secretariat please follow up on this suggestion? Next items for discussion at the next meeting. The administration proposes to discuss the following item: MTRCL's work in progress in building a rail tech ecosystem. Any views? All agree? So be it. Item 3. Tung Station and Tuen South Extension. Let's invite the administration to come in first. Before we begin, let me remind members that according to Rule 83A of the Rules of Procedure, if there is any direct or the indirect pecuniary interest as to the items being discussed, please disclose the nature of the interest before you speak. The system is ready. If you want to speak, please press the button. Joining us today, we have representatives from the administration as well as the MTRCL. The administration team is led by Ms. Amy Wong, Deputy Secretary for Transport and Logistics. Also from Highways Department, the Director, Mr. Jimmy Chan. From the MTRCL, Mr. Carl Delvin. And his team. So, Deputy Secretary, would you like to make a start? I understand that there'll be a PowerPoint presentation. The floor will then be open for questions and answers. Thank you. The government takes an infrastructure-led approach to create capacity in taking forward the railway construction projects. The Northern Link, Tung Station, and Tuen South Extension are 2 of the 7 recommended railway schemes in the Railway Development Strategy 2014. The Tung Station will be connected to Phase 2 of Northern Link in the future. As the backbone of the transport system for Northern Metropolis in the future, Northern Link will be connected to East Rail and Tuen line so that a circular railway line will be formed. This will enhance connectivity. It will also help drive the development of Northern Metropolis as well as the transport system in Hong Kong. Tung Station will enhance connectivity of Tung North New Development Area. It will help shorten the journey to Sheung and help increase in population in the area. As for Tuen South Extension, Tuen line will be extended southwards by 2.4 kilometers. There will be 2 new stations, one the Tuen South Station as well as Tuen area, another station in Tuen area 16A 16 station. This will enhance connectivity with current Tuen Mun Town Centre and Tuen Mun Ferry Pier. It will provide an alternative option for commuters to shorten their journey time and to bring benefits to commuters. On the 5th of September, the CN Council approved the financial arrangements for Tung as well as Tuen Mun South Extension. The relevant agreements have since then been signed. Works have commenced. There is respectively expected to complete in 2027 as well as 2030. I'll defer to the MTRCL to give you an idea. Carl?
Honourable members, I'm delighted to return to this
Is
the mic on?
Closer to the mic. Good morning, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Good morning, Chairman, honourable members. I'm delighted to return to this committee to report that the MTR Corporation has recently started the construction works of 2 more new railway projects to keep the city moving. They are the Tung Station and the Tuen Mun South Extension projects. Tung Station is really about building a new railway community, bringing direct railway connectivity to the centre of the future Tung North New Development Area. The Tuen Mun South Extension, on the other hand, will see the extension of the Tuen Ma line to the Tuen Mun South community with the addition of a new terminal station and a new intermediate station. To enable the construction, several community facilities, including the decades-old swimming pool, will be reprovisioned, bringing new energy and vitality to this community. The construction of these 2 new projects presents a unique set of challenges. Tung Station will be the first MTR station to be built at an operating railway tunnel, and the Tuen Mun South Extension project will be constructed atop the Tuen Mun River and the well-developed areas of Tuen Mun South. Our team of experienced engineers are tirelessly and confidently working to ensure we deliver the new railway projects smoothly and with minimal disruption to the all-important daily train services, all the while allowing the communities to go about their daily activities as usual. With our robust project management regime, prudent cost control mechanism, openness to innovation and technology, and unwavering commitment to implementing all new projects professionally and meticulously, we take immense pleasure in embarking on this new chapter of railway development for the city and delivering the benefits of affordable, efficient and environmentally friendly railway service to more Hong Kongers as swiftly as we can. I'll now pass the time to Barry to talk more about these 2 exciting projects. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Sum. Thank you, Carl. Thank you, Chairman. The MTRCL has commenced the construction projects of Tung and Tuen Mun South Extension Station. First, for Tung Station, the detailed design planning commenced in 2021 in relation to environmental permits, gazettal, and approval procedures. They were completed in the past 2 years. Last month, after signing the agreement, the gazettal and authorization also were approved, and then the project will be completed in 2027. The new station will be built between Lok Ma Chau and Shang Shui Station. It will be situated at the town centre of the future Tung North NDA. This is the first project where we will be where we'll be constructing a station along a railway line in operation. The Tung station will help complete the backbone of public transport in Tung North NDA. About 80% of the population will be living within the 500 meter of the station. Comparing to the current journey time, the journey time will be shortened by 3 minutes to Changshui Station. This will also provide a low-carbon alternative to commuters. As for station features, this is an underground station with the concourse on the upper level, the platforms on the lower level. Station entrances and exits are situated on the ground level. We will adopt an open design with natural ventilation. In line with the natural ventilation and green corridor concepts of the area. During the detailed design stage, We've also fine-tuned the size of the station, together with a ventilation, air conditioning system, as well as lifts, escalators. More of them will be provided, so as to meet the projected population in the NDA and the relevant needs. As for construction features, it is a challenge for us to maintain the operation of the East Rail and Tuen Ma line. There are 3 features. Now, our team has spent a lot of effort in the detailed planning and design stage. Measures will be put in place to cope with the challenges. The first point I'd like to go through is limited working space. For the works area, we can only work on the area reserved for the spur line. There is limitation as to the access, egress, as well as the how large machinery is to be stored. A video clip will be played so that we can take a look at the footprint of the station and the area. The emergency access in the future will overlap with the works area. We need to first make a diversion so as to ensure the operation of the EVA during construction. In order to cope with the limitations of working space, we need to make use of the cargo station area in Lo Wu so as to transport materials to our site during nighttime, and to cope with the limited working space and to make it feasible. Second point, we need to construct an underground operating railway tunnel structure. Well, this is a box structure situated under the ground. As you can see here, on top of the box structure, there must be sufficient weight from soil to counter the buoyancy from groundwater. We will adopt the cut and cover method. That means we will first excavate soil from above the box structure and cover it afterwards. There will be supporting structure to support the weight of soil from both sides. We also need to exercise groundwater control. We have to continuously monitor the underground situation to ensure that the structure will remain unaffected. To ensure stability of the existing tunnel structure and the work site, we will explore different measures to effectively control the groundwater pressure. For example, an automated system will be put in place. The final point is that at the end of service hours, at night until the next morning, we have the non-traffic hours. And construction can only take place on a number of days in a week during non-traffic hours. That means trackside, emergency walkway, the installation of platform screen doors, and testing different E&M equipment and systems. Now, we will spare no time in taking forward the construction. During the daytime, we will carry out works above ground, and then during non-traffic hours at night, we will proceed with the task I mentioned. We will take into account the features of the site so that we can achieve project goals and milestones according to schedule. Next, I'd like to turn to Tuen Ma South Extension. In 2022, we commenced design planning. The MTRCL at the same time consulted the public. The scheme was gazetted last year. We also sought approval for the environmental permit. After signing the project agreement, construction works already commenced. We expect to complete the project by 2030. This project entails extending the Tuen line southwards by 2.4 kilometers. There will be an intermediate station, A16, in Area 16. And then there will be a terminus Tuen South Station.
This project will provide direct rail connection for the Tuen South community. During peak hours, compared with road transport, the future Tuen South Station to Tuen Station journey will be shortened. It will be around 5 minutes. In the community, some community facilities will also be re-provisioned and upgraded to enhance the quality of life. The Tuen swimming pool will be re-provisioned. We will also add 2 swimming pools which are indoors, and the public gallery will also be turned into an indoor gallery. The capacity will be doubled. A lot of barrier-free facilities will also be provided. On the station features, the A16 station will be near the Tuen riverside. The features will be maintained. There will be a 3-level above-ground station with the platforms and concourse on the upper and middle levels, respectively. There will also be entrance and exits above the ground. Regarding the other station, Tuen South Station, it will be located on Woking Road near the Tuen Ferry Pier, adjacent to light rail and connecting to the promenade. This station will be an elevated station with entrances and exits on the ground level. Regarding the construction features, there are 3 points I'd like to share. First of all, Tuen South Station will be constructed in well-developed communities. Since the inception of the construction, there has been close liaison with the stakeholders and residents in the community. We would like to minimize the inconvenience caused to them. A16 station construction will be in the swimming pool location, and it will also be in the location of Pet Garden and Hoi Wong Road Garden, as well as Green and Tuen recycling station. In order to minimize impact in the construction of this station, there will be a temporary construction access to construct a viaduct. The construction works will be taking place in dry seasons. There will also be sustainable station designs. In the planning and the design of the station, we will make use of natural resources such as natural ventilation and lighting to minimize energy use. We'll also incorporate green design and sustainable features such as screening, energy-efficient equipment, LED lights, and so on. This is to provide a low-carbon transport option for residents. This can also reduce carbon emissions. Technology has been developing by leaps and bounds. We will use BIM, Building Information Modeling, to enhance construction management. We'll also use pre-modulated structures to enhance the work's efficiency. We will also use a smart system to monitor the progress of the construction works. Since 2020, we have been consulting the Rural Committee, District Council, schools, community groups, residents, to bring them up to speed on the progress of the construction works. There are dedicated websites for both projects. The contents will be updated regularly in order to update residents of the latest progress. Looking forward, we will continue to maintain a close dialogue with the community so that we can provide low-carbon, convenient transport option to residents in the locality. Thank you, Chairman. This is my introduction. Thank you, Mr. Shum. Now, we still have 55 minutes. 6 members, myself included, have requested to speak in order. They are Mr. Chen Xiu-hong, Michael Tuen, Gary ZHANG, Dr. Lo Wai Kwok, Tony Tse, and myself. 5 minutes each. Mr. Chen Xiu-hong. Thank you, Chairman. Tung Station and Tuen South Extension. I support these two projects, and I look forward to the start of the construction. In 2027 and 2030, I look forward to the completion of these two construction works to cater for the needs of Tuen South area and Tung North New Development Area, especially when Tung Station will take the space between Changshu Station and another major residential area. I hope that the Northern Metropolis Railway Office will coordinate these projects in order to take it forward. But Chairman, I find it a little bit strange. The MTRCL spent some 15 minutes introducing the Tung Station and Tuen South Extension, including their design, construction, and public consultation. But I see no papers. Instead, there are 2 information papers provided by the Bureau. They are on financial arrangement. The MTRCL can provide relevant papers to help us so that they will shed more light on the background and the details of the construction projects. Next, regarding the information papers, they concern the financial arrangement. In paragraph 6 and 7 in the Tung Station, in December 2015 prices, the construction of Tung Station was about $3.5 billion. But the latest price, that is the money of the day prices, the cost reached $9.8 billion, including the detailed design of the Northern Link, which is some $3.9 billion. Well, Chairman, after reading the papers, I am none the wiser. I understand that the price was a few years back then, so there may be updates and changes in between. But did the $3.5 billion for 2015 include detailed design? Is that comparable? Otherwise, the cost actually doubled or even tripled. How can we give the green light? That is not fair to us. There is a lack of information. There is no sufficient information in the papers. When we scrutinize railway projects, the economic internal rate of return was used. Is it like a reference or is it an important indicator? Tung Station 6.5, Tuen South 0.6%. And I remember Tung Chung extension 3.9%. It fluctuated. Well, I mean, these rates fluctuated. The average was some 2%. But I'd like to ask the administration, what is the criterion of the economic internal rate of return? What is its value of reference? When we have the economic internal rate of return, does it already include the $15.1 billion funding support to be provided by the government? After the funding of the government, if the economic internal rate of return is 6.5%, then it may be worth consideration. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Member, for your question. In the future, if we can introduce more updates about the projects to shed more light to the projects, then we will be happy to provide more papers. Regarding $3.5 billion for Tung Station, that was the figure. Well, I mean the construction cost projection when we walked you through the project in 2021. Right now, the construction cost is estimated to be $9.8 billion. $3.9 billion is for the cost of the detailed planning and design and some advanced works of the NOL main line. But then this portion was not factored in the $3.5 billion back then in 2015. So there are $5.9 billion deducted from $9.8 billion. That is how we arrived at this figure. Regarding the economic internal rate of return, I'd like to invite the Commissioner to take this question. Thank you. Regarding the economic internal rate of return, it serves as a reference. It is an indicator of whether we will implement a project. For transportation infrastructure projects, upon completion of the projects, in the course of operation, there will be some economic benefits when we turn them into monetary terms. That is how we look at this factor. So we draw a comparison with the entire operation phase. This indicator serves as a reference, telling us whether a project is worth implementation. Simply put, if the economic internal rate of return is higher than zero or is larger than zero, then it means that it is worth implementation. It means that this project brings economic benefits. The economic benefits outweigh our input. You can see that the cost is a price we have to pay. But meanwhile, the economic internal rate of return shows that the economic benefits we can reap outweigh the input of $15.1 billion. But do you add the $15.1 billion and the $9.8 billion as the funding support to be provided by the government, and the operation will last 40 years? That is the funding gap we often talk about. We provide funding support. Regarding the funding support, that is $15.1 billion. The funding amount includes $9.8 billion, which is the capital cost. There is a formula which was provided to LegCo. The government is not only a facilitator or supervisor in the MTRCL, the government is also a shareholder. $9.8 billion will be expended out of the $15.1 billion, and then some of the money will be puffed back to the public coffers. If there's a lack of time after the meeting, can you provide the calculation method after the meeting? This is close to the heart of members. You are using the FMV, full market value. I'd also like to ask about the economic internal rate of return. The indirect social benefits are also involved. You can show us how you calculate that.
Next, Mr. Michael Tuen. Thank you, Chairman. I have two questions, one request. First, according to the projected cost in 2015, $3.9 billion would be the capital cost for Tung. station, and then according to the latest estimates, it has gone up by 70%, by $2.5 billion to 3.9. To 9.8 billion. Can you account for the increase? On financial arrangements. Now, for Shelton Central Link, the government adopts the entrusted agreement. Now, I am, of course, against this approach. The MTRCL should take an ownership approach for the MTRCL to absorb possible cost overruns. Finally, for these two schemes, you have heeded my advice and adopted the ownership approach. So, thumbs up for you. I'd like to turn to GFA. You take this approach so that you deduct a sum and then from the land premium. Now, if the land premium then goes up, the MTRCL then, using this GFA calculation approach, will need to return some of the money to you out of the 15.1 billion. This seems very favorable to the MTRCL because it seems that this will cause a lot of public outcry. Do you really have the clout over this matter? Because it seems that there's only upside and no downside. And then the next point is about the request. There'll be an additional 100,000 population in the area, and then some 200,000 in Hong Q added to the existing population. That means ultimately in Kam Shang Road station, no commuters will be able to get on board. They may need to wait for 5 or 6 trains. My request is very simple. For the 3 stations, upon completion, you need to provide feeder buses. Commuters who don't want to wait for 5, 6, 7 trains can take the feeder buses so that they can first travel through Tai Lam Tunnel to the nearest station. In Chun Wan, there should be space for the parking of the feeder buses. These arrangements should be put in place all the way until 2038. Well, this is supposed to be completed in 2030, but by then I think it will be very catastrophic for the 3 stations along the line. So you need to deploy a large number of feeder buses so as to connect the area to the new line. That is the line along the coast. I reckon it will be 2038, right? So that through Siu Lam you can travel to, say, the artificial island and then Hong Kong Island West. That's my request. Before the Deputy Secretary takes your question, I want to emphasize that the member just mentioned there is only upside and no downside. My take is for other public transport services, there are similar unfair treatments. Now, in relation to the increase from 3.5 billion to 9.8 billion, I'd like to defer to the MTRCL to explain the change. Who will take the question, Carol?
Question, and thanks, Chairman and honourable members. In terms of the question in terms of the change in estimates, so the construction costs that were announced in 2021 were estimates based on December 2015 prices, and they were based on preliminary designs at that time. The construction costs referenced in the Bureau's paper are estimates based on July 2023 prices. These take into account the latest market economic conditions, They consider the increment of the Consumer Price Index, and between 2015 and 2023, according to data published by government, the Consumer Price Index has increased by 34%. And that accounts for a portion of the difference. The latest cost estimate takes into account all other matters that have been derived from the more detailed design that we've done since the preliminary design phase, and taking into account the planning for the project. And this was all done since 2020, following invitation by the government to proceed with the development of the project. In addition, to be compatible with the latest planning for the Tung North new development area, the total floor area of the ground floor area of the new station has been increased in size by about 20% from the size of the station at preliminary design. And this has been done to serve the latest estimate of passenger flow and supporting the surrounding development. So you know, we've spent some time talking to our colleagues in government around all of these changes, but that explains the difference.
Deputy Secretary, let me just take the question on the feeder buses for Tuen South Extension. Four cars will be added to the trains to cater for the additional commuters. We will have regard the latest patronage and devise other measures. And we'll definitely consider what Mr. Tuen said. So do you give this undertaking that in the future, if commuters cannot get on the train at all, feeder buses will be operated? I cannot guarantee at this point, but otherwise I find it hard to support you. Well, we'll consider what feasible measures can be put in place. Mr. Gary ZHANG. Let me first ask two questions about facts. For the East Rail, what is the busiest section? What is the busiest station? Well, there are 130,000 population in Tung. By 2026-27, new jobs will be created. With commissioning of the railway line, will the MTRCL consider buying new trains and operating more frequent departures along East Rail line? Who will take this question, please? Mr. Wong. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Member, for the questions. For East Rail, we understand the public's concern on its operation. We'd like to enhance commuter experience. In morning rush hour, the section between Tai Wai and Kowloon Tong is usually the busiest. We'll have regard the patronage. No, I just want some facts. I don't want a lengthy explanation. What is the busiest stretch? The section between Tai Wai and Kowloon Tong Station. That's the information I have. I can supplement some more details later. Now, after commissioning of Tung Station, will new trains be procured? We don't rule out any possibility. What is important is have regard to the data and see how we can enhance operational efficiency. Members may have noticed that we have implemented measures for different stations. Well, the Deputy Sec already talked about 4 new cars for the trains. What about East Rail? No, not in this project, in short. Right, Chairman. So when the number of cars were reduced from 12 to 9 along East Rail, the public and members were told that despite fewer cars, there will be more frequent departures and the overall capacity would not be reduced. That's the explanation. Now we have a new station to serve over 100,000 new population. Then yet by 2026-27, there is no plan to buy new cars. And then there will be 1 fewer departure per hour. For Tung North Lok Ma Chau spur line, there is a diversion. This is a spur line. That means not every departure reaches Lok Ma Chau. That means that we have 7 departures per hour. One may need to wait for 8 minutes. Is it fair to residents in Tung North? And as you can imagine, the trains will be jam-packed. What about residents in Tai Po and along the route? Will commuters still be able to board the trains? The Northern Metropolis Railway Office and the government should be the gatekeeper. You must walk the talk. Otherwise, you are not being accountable. What is your assessment then? According to our estimates of the project, we already considered the impact of the reduction from 12 to 9 cars, and we find that the East Rail is still having sufficient capacity to cater for passengers' needs. And the MTRCL already replied just now that they will keep in view the situation and consider implementing more measures. Chairman, now, if you want to buy a private car, it's easy. You can do it in just 1 or 2 months. If you want to procure a new train, however, you need to go through years of procedure. You need to start with tendering, etc. You need to plan ahead, because if you don't do that now, by 2026-27, there'll be a mishap. In fact, now we find that the previous estimates were not as accurate, at least for the busiest section. By 2026-27, you will find that all trains are jam-packed, and if you only start procurement then, it will be impossible. You need to conduct a study for the additional population in the area and the additional population in March alone. There is no question that there will be more train departures. Why must you wait until it actually happens, when commuters can no longer get on board trains, because it takes years to procure a new train? Now, the government should be the gatekeeper, because the objective of the Northern Metropolis Railway Office, as discussed here, is to be the gatekeeper. Well, in terms of change in ridership, there must be a tipping point. If you reach that critical point, you will need to plan ahead. You can't be like what Mr. Gary ZHANG said, waiting until all trains are full. Well, of course, the estimates are not 100% accurate, and we need to be forward-looking. This is definitely what we will do. We have other projects in the pipeline, and we will keep in view the overall situation. I think Mr. Zhang already expressed his concern. I think the government and the MTRCL should continue to keep in view the change in ridership, because the situation regarding East Rail is quite unacceptable. Dr. Loy Kwok. Thank you, Chairman. I speak in support of the two schemes, Tung Station and Tuen South Extension. In fact, when Railway Development Strategy 2014 was first promulgated, Dr. Loy Kwok and the sector strongly supported the 7 recommended schemes. But not until now do we see the formal commissioning of Tung East Station and these two. And it's really unfortunate that 9 years have passed and no government official has ever explained to me the delay. But I don't think I should dwell on this point. Safe to say that it's been 9 years. Anyway, I have some questions. First, for the railway and property development model, I strongly support this financing arrangement. The same has been adopted for Tung extension. This is a world-acclaimed development model. People envy us. We're short of land. Property prices are soaring. The R+P model can help address the city's transport issue. At the same time, we have some premium sites for housing development. They are always popular. So my question is, you should stay out of danger. Anyway, that's about what happened in the past, and we need to be forward-looking about this development model. My only criticism is that the construction period seems to be too long. I heard the MTR's explanation. There are challenges of providing an additional station along a line already in operation underground. I think the government is to blame, not the MTRCL. They'd like to give a start as quickly as possible. As I learned from the sector, they would like an early start as well, so that the profession can continue to provide services. The public keenly look forward to this project. I hope that in terms of EM&A and other processes, we should work as quickly as possible. The construction timetable should be compressed. Well, even if we build multi-story stations, and we go stories deep under the ground, like Admiralty Station, we can still do it. I have faith in the work of MTR. For Tuen South Extension, we need to provision certain facilities, and they will take the construction before demolition approach. This is an obstacle. I don't know how they will overcome this hurdle. Still, I think you should have given a start as quickly as possible. So my question is about compressing the timetable. You should give it a thought. And about the capital cost estimates for the Railway Development Strategy 2014. It came with estimates for Northern Link and Tung Station. Originally, they were expected to be completed between 2018 and 2023 with an estimate cost of 2.3 billion to 23 billion. For Tuen South, it's 5.5, but now it's over $15 billion. I don't think this paper explains anything about this to us. So perhaps you should provide supplementary information after the meeting. You should account for this stark difference.
Thank you, Deputy Secretary. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Member. I'd like to invite the MTRCL to say how we can expedite the projects. Carl?
Chairman, honourable member, I'll try and answer the honourable member's question. It is in MTR's interest to expedite all of these projects, and we're always looking at ways to deliver these projects as quickly as possible. As Barry mentioned during the presentation on Tung, it is a complex construction that we need to undertake. It's the first time we've constructed a new station underground around an operational railway. It's absolutely paramount that in undertaking these construction works that we take very great care of the safety and normal operations of the existing railway, as well as the safety of our construction workers. We have limited working space. That means we've got to undertake, large-scale construction works and really plan the detail to maximise the efficiency and the performance. We also need to excavate down from ground level to expose areas to build back up the new station, and we've got to do that around an operational tunnel. This is I've done a lot of big projects around the world. This project is an example of where going slow during the early parts of the construction actually helps you go fast overall. We do need to use that as our guiding principle. And we also have to carry out a lot of the work during non-traffic hours, between the end of service and the start of service. Now we're always looking at ways to see how we can increase the amount of non-traffic hours that we can have, and we spend a lot of time working with our colleagues inside our business and talking to government about how we do that. So some of these factors drive the overall construction for Tung. We will of course and on all our projects, we closely monitor performance, and we look to see if the opportunities arise, we will bring forward the completion. I'd like to assure members that it is in our interest, and it's something that we're looking at all the time. We'll continue looking to evolve our plans as we move forward.
Well, I think you just try to explain why and what sort of difficulties you are facing, but you are not proposing any measures to improve the timeline. But anyway, I think you can come back with some answers later on. But 副秘書長，你頭先盧議
Deputy Secretary, just now Dr. Low mentioned some figures. Probably you can provide some statistics after the meeting. There is a surge between the 2 years. Yes, we look forward to enhancements. I have already drawn the line. It's been 15 minutes into the meeting, so I will draw the line right now. Mr. Kenfla will be the last member to speak. Next, Mr. Tung. Thank you, Chairman. I have a couple of points to seek clarifications and follow up on. First, for Tung Station, the construction involves a lot of technical difficulties. For the land earmarked earlier on, are you criticizing those people for not staying in touch with the reality? You already knew that these stations would be built on existing railways, but then you're saying that time affects the project. So why did you still have such a decision? Was there consultation with the MTRCL? Well, you should explain this to us. Next, for the funding gap, right now, $15.1 billion to rail plus property model. For the $15.1 billion, the construction cost is $9.8 billion. What about the remainder? We'd like to know. What is the reason for the increase to $15.1 billion? The government is monitoring the situation. There are discussions, I believe. Are there no downsides at all? No, not really. Is it not profitable? Well, I think there are profits. There may be profits. When it comes to Tung Station, 4.7 hectares of land for development. Let me give you some more information. Tuen South, likewise. People are asking whether 70% of the area could be dedicated to public housing estates. And I believe you have the OZP to follow. So you will not increase that by 20% all of a sudden out of the blue. MTRCL is facing a manpower crunch, and we'd like to expedite the projects. Are you really confident that you can do it? Some projects are underway. Some are pending construction works. For Tuen South Extension, some community facilities are involved, like swimming pool. If we have to wait until a replacement is finished before we can reprovision the swimming pool, say when residents in the locality cannot swim for 2 to 3 years, thus the delay of the construction works, then people wanting public transport will suffer. How do we strike a balance? There are oppositions in the community, but we have to strike a balance between benefits and inconvenience. Back then, there was the pandemic and no one went to swim. We couldn't have predicted that. When people couldn't swim for 1 year, but then the transport project could be expedited, could the benefit actually outweigh the drawback? Is it possible? Thank you, member, for your question. Regarding the $15.1 billion for Tung Station, the funding support, how did it increase from $9.8 billion to $15.1 billion apart from the capital cost? During operation, we also have the projections for the revenue, including day-to-day maintenance, operation, and asset maintenance or update. Funding support was given by way of land instead of money. And the commissioning of the piece of land also needs to be factored in. Well, Chairman, they will reply in a consolidated response. Was it due to the mistake by previous workers or other people working previously? There is a lack of land. There isn't enough time for construction. Member is asking the reason why the construction was planned as such. For the Lok Ma Chau Spur line, some space has already been earmarked for the construction of this station, like the box structure as the MTRCL mentioned. At present, there are trains running along the railway line, hence the difficulty of building one more station at this time. The MTRCL is taking the government to task for improper planning or insufficient planning. Well, Carl actually explained technical difficulties were one of the reasons for the long construction time, and our member is asking the reasons behind it. We are not pursuing the mistake of predecessors. Mr. Shum, regarding land and construction area, we mentioned in the PowerPoint the limited working space. In general, while constructing railway lines and stations, we actually borrow or rent some pieces of land in the vicinity from the government. Tung North New Development Area, NDA, will have a lot of developments going on, including public housing, private housing developments. So, in the vicinity of the station, we cannot secure some land which serves as the working space, and that is exactly the difficulty posed to the Tung Station project. It is definitely not due to the insufficient land as a result of the mistake made by the predecessors. Well, Chairman, can I have some after the meeting supplementary information, such as a timeline, etc.? Next, myself. I will be brief. Writing on Mr. Tong Li-Che's question, we are looking forward to seamless transition. The swimming pool should be relocated before the commencement of your project. Member mentioned that a balance should be struck. Of course, the commissioning of the new station will bring more benefits, but then there's a lack of figures. If these projects are carried out in tandem, how much time will we be able to save? How much faster can we see the commissioning of the station? You mentioned that some residents will find it more difficult to swim. That is inconvenient to them. But providing bus feeder services will also be an option. Do you have any comparisons for these figures? I'd like to invite the MTRCL to respond.
岑生。
Yes, Mr. Shum. Thank you, Chairman. Before we commenced works at the planning and design stage, we consulted the stakeholders in the local community. We'd like to understand their needs so as to incorporate the needs in our design. According to the local community, some facilities, such as the swimming pool, should be reprovisioned seamlessly. That means before we demolish the existing pool, a new swimming pool should be built for them. So this is how we adopt the current approach to cater for the needs of residents. You asked whether it is possible to depart from this approach. Well, in fact, we have been talking to the local community under this principle as to whether further refinements can be made, and we'll continue to do that. We will keep in view the situation and see whether we can reach a consensus with the stakeholders to refine the proposal so that we can speed things up and reduce construction costs. We'll continue to discuss with the government. A word for the government, you need to work it out with the MTR. We want to find out the difference. Whether we should allow discussion to continue in the local community. Say works have commenced now, and if you're able to lobby the support of the local community to take an alternative proposal, then for the whole community, the railway line may be ready 1 year earlier, and this proposal may be welcome. For Tung station, you explained the long construction period. That's because you can only carry out works during non-traffic hours. I remember a previous discussion. There were only 2 hours of window period was provided at night for maintenance and repair. And I remember we asked whether it's possible to shorten service hours during some days of the week for maintenance and repair. I think a similar suggestion can apply here. Of course, we're not talking about general shortening of service hours because this will attract criticism. What about a few days of the week? I think the MTRCL has implemented certain measures to make good use of the window. Who will take the question, please, Carl or Mr. Sum?
We've already implemented measures along East Rail Line to increase the amount of NTH that we can obtain to do the construction works. So there are a number of additional locomotives we've bought to increase the amount of maintenance plants we have. So we've looked at those measures. We're also in discussions with internally inside MTRC and with government in terms of looking at specific tasks as we go through the construction of Tung, where we would benefit from extended NTH. So we're having those conversations to target parts of the construction to give us more vision, and we'll continue doing that. As I said earlier, it's in our interest to try and complete these projects as fast as possible. We're very well aware of the public desire to sort of access these stations as quickly as possible. So we'll be continuing to make sure that we maximise the amount of NTH that we can use to do this. We'll continue to update members as we proceed going forward.
Right. Please consider, if it's possible, even for the electrical complex, construction works, addition works are taking place, and there is a notice that the noise may be generated during certain hours, and we members find this acceptable for the purpose of speeding up works. Mr. Michael Look. Chairman. Well, I always have the same feeling. If you start these railway projects earlier, it will be less costly. For Tung North in 2015, the estimate was 3.5 billion. Now the latest estimate is $9.8 billion. Even deducting the advanced works, detailed planning and design, $3.9 billion, that still means 5.9%, up by 68%, or close to 70%. In 7 years. Is it possible to further compress the timetable? Can you deploy technology? The other point is this about Tuen South Extension, the reprovisioning of the swimming pool. It's a catch-22. Of course, the local community's need for leisure and recreational facilities should be met. A swimming pool is needed without compromising progress of works. Now, I'd like to know the progress of reprovisioning. I want to know this is dovetailed with the works timetable. We're talking about 6 to 7 years. But you need to start with reprovisioning the pool. The new pool must be completed before the old one is demolished. Can you tell me anything about the construction of the new pool? MTRCL would like to take the question, please. Mr. Shum. Yes, to answer Mr. Look's question, the MTR is entrusted to build the new pool. For Tuen South Extension, the project includes reprovisioning the swimming pool. And as explained just now, we'll only demolish the existing pool after we've completed the construction of a new one. After signing the project agreement last month, we commenced works. The pool is expected to be completed in 2026 so that the LCSD will take over the new pool and then we will demolish the old one. So works relating to the pool will only begin in 2026. Is that right? A delay of 2 years, is that right? What about the remaining part? They will continue. We have a 2.4-kilometer viaduct and 2 stations along Tuen South Extension. For A16 station, as I explained, we need to demolish the pool before we complete the remaining portion of A16. As for the area outside the swimming pool, we will start work here and now. Chairman, I understand the MTR's approach of reprovisioning before demolition. I want to ensure that this will not hinder the progress in any way, because it seems there is a public perception that you are catering the needs of swimmers rather than commuters. Reprovisioning before demolition. Well, this is something we've adopted for this project. Now, after we learned the needs of the local community, we already there and then minimize the impact on the project. For example, we worked on the design by, say, moving the station a bit further or closer to the river. Because, as I said, part of the station can only be completed upon demolition of the swimming pool. So we have refined the design and we also strive to meet the needs of stakeholders. A new pool should be built before the old is demolished. But you haven't answered the question whether this will speed things up by, say, a year or two. Next, Mr. Ben Chan. Thank you, Chairman. These 2 projects are essential. People will be moving in Tung North. We can't rely on feeder bus services This will pose a burden on the transport network. Now, this morning, members asked about the cost estimate. For Tuen South, I understand the project includes the construction of a new swimming pool. For these two projects, you've adopted the R&P model. Unlike the Sha Tin Central Link, you had to apply for funding with LegCo, and LegCo members had the opportunity to look at your books. Now, for the railway or rail plus property financial arrangement, the LegCo cannot be the gatekeeper. We must rely on the government, in other words. So this is a question for the government. Will there be ways to ensure that the prices they come back would be reasonable? Because under R&P, if they inflate the figures, that means they have, to some extent, more rights over since they're the owner. So that means they can be a spendthrift and place more emphasis on property development. Now, for every dollar spent, they may be reaping a profit of $2 to $3. Of course, this is nothing but a conjecture. I want the government to ensure that the cost estimates are accurate. And how will you achieve that? Deputy Secretary. We will engage an ICC, an independent checking consultant, to check the financial details. The Director of Highways can take this question. Before he does so, I will extend the meeting by 15 minutes. We have the transport panel coming after that. Mr. Chen. Thank you, Chairman. About checking the estimated project cost, the Highways Department plays the gatekeeping role. Now, the MTRCL comes up with a detailed plan and design, and by then, the estimated cost will be more accurate. Well, this is in fact the prevailing practice for works projects, even those undertaken by our department. We will request the MTRCL to provide a breakdown of the cost estimates. Instead of just looking at a lump sum, we'll check the breakdown. Say for Tung Station, adopting the cut and cover method and the construction of the station above ground, where we will consider very carefully all the details of the cost estimate. And we also engage an independent checking consultant with expertise. They can professionally give advice on the accuracy of the project estimates. This is a rather strenuous task. We need to check the numbers rather meticulously, and very often we will need the MTR to proffer additional information. So to ensure accuracy of the details, this will take some time. At the same time, we want to make sure that the cost estimates will be accurate. So that the MTRCL will not be securing funding support more than it actually needs. Mr. Ban Chen. Yes, I understand that there will be checks. And still, the public may be kept in the dark. Can you explain why there is a substantial increase in the estimates? What went wrong? What's the basis of formulating the original estimates? Are there ways for us to ensure that the cost estimates are reasonable?
Thank you, Chairman. As we mentioned The difference between the projections and the capital cost for Tung Station, we estimated it to be $3.5 billion. There are several reasons explaining the increase to $9.8 billion. First, on the Northern Link, the detailed alignment, design, and the advanced works, some were missed out, hence the $3.9 billion. Excluding it, we have $5.9 billion. The projections were based on the price in 2015, whereas the projections today were based on 2023 prices. The increase in the price index also contributed. For the size of the station, we projected the size of the population as well as ridership, and the development area increased, hence the increase in the projections. The projections were based on some preliminary or provisional information in the information papers. We are still pending site visits on the spot and some more detailed information regarding geological issues and construction difficulties. The increase in the projections reflected the inclusion of these factors in order to iron out the possible problems. You mentioned there will be information papers explaining the reasons for the increase owing to different factors. Well, we are looking forward to this paper. Next, the last one, Mr. Ken Flau. We have been waiting for a long time for this project. That is Tung Station and Tuen South Extension. It's been a decade or so since the design and the planning of these projects. They will be very conducive to the development of the northern metropolis. It will also greatly help Tuen West, Longkutan, and so on, and River Trade Terminal. The Tuen area has been a self-sufficient area. It's very important to the commuters in the locality. Members are concerned about cost overruns. The reason why it takes so long, is it because of the high cost? Members would like to know why, but it seems our questions are left unanswered. Given the cost overruns, are there any plans in relation to manpower planning or financial planning? The construction will also affect existing facilities such as swimming pool, Holong Road, Pet Garden, Green at Tuen Mun Recycling Station. Several roads will also be affected, such as Silhe Bridge and other roads nearby, such as Hoi Wong Road. I understand that some facilities will be reprovisioned. Some locations have already been identified, and I hope that the government will explain more to the residents in the vicinity in order to reduce or minimize the inconvenience to be caused to residents. I also live in Tuen Mun. I do have land in Tuen Mun. Deputy Secretary, thank you, member, for your support. In relation to the reprovision of facilities, in the PowerPoint slides, the MTRCL has also explained that in the course of the construction, there will be liaison groups contacting residents in relation to the latest changes, and I believe the MTRCL will continue this line of work in the future. Regarding the increase in the projections and the time, I believe that MTRCL would like to build the railway or station as soon as possible So do we. These projects will be commissioned soon. That was mentioned in the RDS 2014. As Chairman mentioned, we will give you more information in after the meeting papers. No follow-up? No follow-up. If there's no follow-up, let's move to the last agenda item. AOB? Any AOB? No AOB. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.